subcommittee's first hearing should provide an opportunity for our members to carry out credible, responsible oversight to prevent and prepare for future pandemics. Instead, House Republicans invited a writer whose extreme and dangerous views have been echoed by white supremacists to testify on the issue of the novel's coronavirus origins. In May of 2014, David Duke, former Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan, hosted a radio show praising Mr. Wade in his book, A Troublesome Inheritance. Mr. Wade, are you aware of David Duke's praise of your views on his website?
When my book first came out, Mr. Ruiz, I think the extreme right wing thought it would help their cause, but they very soon dropped referring to it because when they actually read it, as many people who talk about my book have not,
well,
they found that
David Duke did read your book. In fact, he had a whole radio talk show about it and described it in detail, and he did endorse your views. On a post, davidduke.com, promoting his radio show, he states, quote, "Hear Dr. David Duke speak on the former science editor for the New York Times, who has now essentially embraced the scientific racial truth that Dr. Duke wrote extensively about in My Awakening and has written about for more than 35 years. You see, Mr. Wade's book deploys dangerous tropes and stereotypes about minority communities under the guise of science. His assertions define the overwhelming consensus of scientists and researchers, including those in the fields of population genetics and evolutionary biology. Dr. Redfield, as a former CDC director, do these views trouble you?
I'm sorry, I was distracted. I'm sorry, I was distracted.
Would do the views that I mentioned and the David Duke's endorsements of Mr. Wade's book trouble you?
I'm not a fan of David Duke at all. I do think that Nicholas Wade, and I've followed his work over 30 years, is an outstanding science reporter and has contributed substantially, both in nature science and, of course, leading the New York Times.
You know, there are 140 faculty members and experts who strongly disagree with you. In fact, more than 140 faculty members and experts jointly condemned Mr. Wade's book in a joint letter to the New York Times book review, stating, quote, "We reject Wade's implication that our findings substantiate his guesswork. They do not. We are in full agreement that there is no support from the field of population genetics for Wade's conjectures." Mr. Chairman, I'd like to enter this letter into the record.
My only comment,
I'm sorry, Dr.